This is a Clouds weather alert.
Good late Thursday, early Friday, meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at the infrared satellite imagery. We're tracking Tropical Storm Sara there as we're looking toward Honduras, and we're going to have to watch it carefully. Granted, things are looking a good bit better than they were when we did our update late Tuesday, but things could still change, so don't let your guard down as we're looking at things, as we're tracking them. I know Sara, another name that we're seeing on that list here of cyclones, as we kind of see this the overall sequence of things here in 2024. So we're going to definitely continue to watch it here very carefully as the situation does progress. I know, let's get kind of back down there and break this down just a little bit more. And you'll see here all the quarter cloud tops there around Honduras. And it'll be something to monitor here very carefully, because if it kind of gets that together a little bit further north with the center, then it'll have a lot more time over water to organize and be maybe a bigger threat here toward the U.S. right now. The Hurricane Center is forecasting it to dissipate here before it can even reemerge off the Yucatan Peninsula. But some of the models still want to keep some of it alive here, and then maybe it could end up trying to get its act together as we look ahead toward next week just a little bit in terms of reorganization, or it could still go kind of on a maybe northerly path down to the south, and then maybe able to kind of curve back here and not spending much time over land. So not looking right now at a hurricane coming toward Florida like what we were thinking there late Tuesday, but that is still subject to change. So things could change rapidly with this, because we're really watching. I know Honduras is just going to have terrible flash flooding, it would seem, from this. Now, in general, for the south it is, the worst flooding it'll be for them. But it'll allow it not to really get its act together to be able to be carried closer toward our area in a really impactful form. It would just be kind of merging with a front, which would still be a rainmaker here, and I have that in the forecast, but it'd be a lot different type of impact. We're going to keep ourselves in alert mode for the time being here. We just want to err on the side of caution with this here. I know things can change here pretty quickly again in the modeling and ramp it back up. So we'll continue to track it. The official forecast is the white dots though, per se. We have the T's and the D's. But some other models have this as a tropical storm or a tropical depression as we're looking as we get closer towards some of the continental United States. But we shall see here with the overall progression of this, there's a lot of uncertainty. So again, things could change pretty rapidly because this develops just a little bit further north with the center of circulation. It'll be able to be over water a lot more, and it wouldn't be as easily torn apart here as we look ahead in the timeline, unless it really got back over Honduras. But I mean, we're not talking about it maybe approaching some of these areas there like Belize until maybe later on Sunday. So it's going to be sitting over an area for a very long period of time toward the south, and then kind of trying to make its way very slowly off there, generally toward the west-northwest. But we're going to continue to watch it, continue to track it here in the Weather Center. I know, let's get a look here at our zoomed in perspective across our region right now, because you can see those temperatures. We do have some cool air trying to come on in. We've had some rain. I know where I'm at here east of Stark a little bit, after midnight, 3/100th of an inch. But you see 50s here in South Georgia and many communities, 57 Albany, 55 over toward Blakely there. But you see 60s toward Tallahassee, 67 there. You see 66 Keystone Heights there. We're at 65 east of Stark, but in the 70 around St. Augustine right now in St. Johns County. You still see some shower activity in southern Clay County, some in southern Putnam, in Marion County, even a little bit heavier accent there. You can see that north of Martell, but again, I just kind of trying to monitor that for you here. You see some of this rain off the coast there and the like, but again, just trying to give you guys the very latest on exactly what's going on just remain alert. We're gonna keep it in alert mode here for now. Again, hopefully, it'll be something where we're able to kind of ramp things down ultimately, but don't want to completely let our guard down. Yeah, with this, things are still somewhat uncertain. So, as we watch Tropical Storm Sarah there out toward areas further off toward the south. I know you can see the Atlantic hurricane season running for another couple weeks. Tony, Valerie, William, the last three names on this list. If we have to go further, we'll go to an alternative list, but hopefully that isn't necessary. But as we look here, you can see 45-mile-an-hour max sustained winds with Tropical Storm Sarah. They have it moving off toward the west. We'll see, depending on how far north this can get. We'll see how it kind of tries to organize, but you see it kind of taking its time getting over toward Belize there and the like. I mean, but if it's just a little further north, it could be a lot different type of storm in terms of the winds, and then maybe being able to hold together and curve back more toward Florida and something more formidable versus just maybe a weaker rainmaker here. But you can see we're going to keep watching. The overall risk is dropping, but the system could still hit Florida next week. Basic disaster supplies kit includes water, non-perishable food, battery-powered or hand-cranked radio, no weather radio, flashlight, and first aid kit. And in some of these instances, it's also important to have cash and gas. Again, we're ramping, that threat level down a little bit, but don't want to completely rule something, as a significant out here. We'll give it a little bit longer to do that. But if we do a power outage potential, then you'll want to charge those devices. If tornadoes become a threat, you'll want to make sure you get an interior room away from windows. And after a storm moves through, staying away from power lines and generator safety is critical. So this time of year is something, a time where you don't expect storms near it as frequently in the Atlantic, but we have one right now, and it's still really warm down where it is right now, so it could still get a lot of intensity. Conditions not as favorable further up, but if it just gets so strong, it's not a situation. If it gets further, especially towards central South Florida, it would not weaken near as quickly, as you would like it to. If it's really strong, it'll weaken some, but if it gets further to North Florida, it would make it a little bit weaker probably because there's more hostile environment in terms of the atmospheric characteristics here as we're kind of looking at things. But let's go ahead and see the tornado safety tips now. The reason I'm showing this to you is because, of course, we'll watch the tropics if there's a tornado threat out of that, but these also put areas in the Midwest as we look ahead here, as we look ahead in toward the timeline. I know as we kind of get there toward later on in the period, Sunday there's a severe weather risk on Abilene, San Angelo, Del Rio, Big Spring, and Kerrville, Texas. And on Monday there's a risk on Austin, Fort Worth, Arlington, Grand Prairie, and Waco. So gonna have that severe risk of tornadoes if possible. So stay tuned for the latest. If there's a tornado watch and charge those devices, kind of applies anyway. Just already giving you that outlook, but have multiple ways to receive alerts, and then a tornado warning. That means it's been detected using radar or spotted. Possible tornadoes, so you want to try to avoid taking shelter in a mobile home. Get inside a sturdy building and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet or something of that sort is recommended. And then as you see that rainfall forecast for the next 7 days, you can see quite a bit of rain out toward Oklahoma. I know that severe weather setup will be out that way. I know we've been watching area of low pressure toward North Carolina, and you can see some rain from that here in the short term. I know as we're kind of watching things up there, I know much cooler is going to try to infiltrate as we're looking ahead, and some, as we're looking short term, but more going to be later on next week. We're going to have some snow across areas further up and toward the country, it would seem. Some of that could even get north, some of the North Carolina mountains and the like, so we shall see. But I know you can go to clutterthere.com/radar for an interactive look at things, and then you see that rain we're looking at right now maybe on the order of an inch or two on average in a lot of our Florida zones, and a little bit less in Georgia over the next 7 days. But this is highly dependent on what happens with Sarah here, with Tropical Storm Sarah. And then as you see our covered area, we're always on for any tornado warning storms in the 62 counties. We're going to continue to watch things very carefully, obviously, with the tropics, and see just exactly what goes on, and we'll provide updates more frequently if it's necessary. The same deal for that Midwest severe weather potential. as we kind of look ahead and toward the timeline. And when I say Midwest, it's actually going to be probably more South Central than Midwest with the overall parameters setting on up. That's kind of the storyline there as we kind of track things. And then here's that forecast for the local area. 20% chance of rain on that Friday, dropping down on that weekend. I know it's going to be cool. You see Saturday morning, so, take that consideration for things like Friday night football, their high school football playoff action across the region. It's going to be chilly to some degree. I mean, compared to what it's been. So make sure you have that light jacket on hand as we're tracking things. And then you just see the overall trends here in toward the weather center. You can see looking at things, they're still generally above average. See later on in the period, maybe not the case, but we'll be watching Sarah to see exactly what comes out of that. As we're kind of looking at things, as we're kind of tracking things, I know just important to do that here in toward the weather center. As the situation does transpire, we'll continue to watch it here just in case. I know for like high school football, we're talking about upper 50s, maybe lower 60s for some of us here around like Stark for Friday night. So a little cool. That's not really cold, but that's definitely cool for folks. And it'll be a little bit maybe breezy there too. So that'll be something to kind of take into consideration as we're looking at things, cooler than you've been accustomed to here anyway. As we kind of give you guys that very latest information. So 77 Sunday afternoon there for that high temperature. You see 79 from Monday for Tuesday before. You see Wednesday, whatever's left of Sarah and, a cold front here coming on in, it would look like, and then we'll have some cool air, maybe even cool air on Friday of next week that you don't really see on this graphic yet. Well, we could be really seeing, the coolest air we've seen in many months here, possibly. I mean, we could be talking about lows there that, are even getting down there. I mean, into some of our South Georgia counties there, we could be talking about possibly some upper 30s, not completely out of the question there Friday morning, depending on how things set up again. The models have been, really tricky with us here. All of them were kind of pinpointing a hurricane. Maybe Hurricane Sarah coming toward the state next week, and now that's not the case. So things can change quickly and can switch back to some degree quickly as well. But we'll continue to watch here with the very latest here in toward the weather center. I know, so we're to see how things kind of set on up overall with the meteorology. You can see here locally some of that rain activity still continuing. A little bit heavier action there off of West Central Florida, but nothing too crazy there. You see some of that rain up in the north. It's in the 50s, 40s in some areas. A low pressure in play and the like up there. So that's the storyline as we're kind of looking. You see some of these temperatures across certain states here. Obviously, some warmer and some cooler than others. So that's kind of the storyline there as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the scenario. I know you can always go to the different resources that I have there for the latest updates. Facebook, Casey Cloud Everybody Acts, Cloud Weather, Twitter / X at Cloud Casey, YouTube at Cloud Weather, Twitch Cloud Weather, and then cloudweather.com. So we'll keep you guys up to date as we look ahead here. Trying to just give you guys the very latest here on exactly what's happening. I know there's college basketball, Florida State taking place later tonight as we're looking toward Tallahassee. So I know the sun will be down there when that's tipping on off. And temperatures will be, a little bit cool when you get out. When it starts, it's not going to be too bad at all, but when you're headed home, and maybe, light jacket type weather, but that's about the extent of that probably. As we're looking at things, just depending on, what you can kind of tolerate there. Some folks might not quite need that if you're just, outside for a few minutes after. But again, this kind of storyline there as we're looking at things, as we're tracking them here in toward the weather center. So I think that'll do it here for tonight. As we try to give you the very latest on exactly what's happening here And I'll be back here if and as conditions warrant before next Tuesday. But otherwise, I'll be back with more information next Tuesday from the Weather Center. So make sure you're keeping tabs on things. And, I'll be back late Tuesday, early Wednesday with another update, But if it's necessary earlier than that, we definitely will do that, whether it's for the severe, they're out toward the south central, probably more really in the Midwest, and then, of course, Cerro locally. I mean, we're going to keep that logo red for now. We can always kind of ramp down coverage, but we don't want to ramp it up and then ramp it down and then ramp it back up. So that's why we're going to kind of stay in alert mode for now as we watch the trends here. And the trend is our friend, as they're saying, but we got to continue to watch things. Could still be some rain, gusty acts in there next week around Wednesday. But that's kind of the forecast for now. That could change. Could end up being a little drier, or it could be, tropical cyclone type of weather for some of the Sunshine State. That's not off the table, so we still got to stay vigilant here, and we'll give you the latest here.